You're watching Seahawks Today, powered by Chad Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. Today, we are talking breakout candidates. I got 5 players who could have a big season for your Seattle Seahawks that haven't had their moment just yet. We'll give you our analysis with mandatory minicamp in the rearview mirror coming up in just a bit. Before we do, we need your help. We need you to share today's show. We want this episode of Seahawks Today to get out to millions and millions of people. So here's what I need you to do. Click the share button, select the Facebook icon, and then from there, click Post to Facebook, and then sound off in the description. Let your voice be heard. Let us know what you honestly think about this show and also about your Seattle Seahawks. Then tag Seattle Seahawks from Chat Sports, there it is, on Facebook, and then that way we can get people to come over and see our Facebook page and all that. Share the show. We certainly appreciate it. Scratch our back. We'll scratch yours, and we'll get started with this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Let's begin on the breakout candidate front at the running back position with a name we haven't talked a whole lot about this offseason, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. That is running back Zach Charbonnet. And I got to tell you, there's no reason why the Seahawks should not be able to get the most out of both Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet and see an increase in Charbonnet's role this upcoming season. If you recall, there was a point in time last year where Pete Carroll was so confident in Zach Charbonnet that he said, look, he should get about the same amount of touches as Kenneth Walker, if not even more. There was confidence from that previous coaching staff in Zach Charbonnet. We saw him more as the season went on, but he hasn't been talked about a ton when it comes to OTAs and minicamp and all that. Zach Charbonnet did do an interview with Seattle Sports just a couple days ago, and this is what he had to say on how his offseason's going. I'm looking to improve on my weaknesses from last year. I'm always working on my speed, just catching out of the backfield and stuff like that. Ryan Grubb came in and has a great philosophy, and I like the vision that he sees it going. Just trusting him with his philosophy, I'm going to do whatever is asked of me. This offense is going to see a lot of screen passes. We know Charbonnet is a good receiving back, so imagine that that'll be important for him to take on that role, not just as a ball carrier, which he was solid last year, second in the team with rushing with 462 yards, played in 16 games with 2 starts in 2023 for the former second-round pick out of UCLA. But now we're looking to see him take another step forward here. I mean, you have potential to have one of, if not the best backfields in football with these 2 young cats there playing alongside Geno Smith. And you see the yards per carry, 4.3, not bad, only got in the end zone once. I expect all of those numbers you're seeing on your screen here from carries, yards, average, touchdowns, all of that should go up. Zach Charbonnet, I think, is due for a very good season in 2024. Do you believe in Zach Charbonnet? What do you guys think? Type B for believe, D for don't. Wait in the comment section. Tell us what you think on our pinned comment today if you're all in on Zach Charbonnet or not. Next on the list, we find edge rusher Derick Hall, who was also selected in the same draft as Zach Charbonnet. He was also a second-round pick himself out of Auburn. And I'll be honest, when I look at Derick Hall, he's got work to do. He's got potential to be great, but we didn't see a whole lot out of him last year. In fact, when he was on the football field, he wasn't that great. But he's got the right coach to get the most out of him. We've talked about this before, and I'll continue to reiterate. Nobody has a better track record of working with pass rushers in the NFL than Mike McDonald. We're going to find out if Derick Hall's got potential to be a star or if he's just going to be another L.J. Collier, which I sure hope that's not the case. But we're going to figure it out pretty quickly this year, as he should get an increased opportunity to really show up and show out. Brock Huard, former Seahawks quarterback, also NFL college football analyst, does radio for Seattle Sports. He had this to say a while back when it comes to Derick Hall. Derick showed you nothing last year. I mean, out of 17 games, there were like 2 or 3 plays where like, oh, okay. There was a stunt he came on, and then he blew up an edge a couple times. Come on, Derick Hall. You were a higher second-round pick with a lot of other talent around you. They've got to find a way to get a whole lot more from him. 100% right on that. When you look at the tail of the tape for Derick Hall last season, as I was putting this graphic together, folks, give you a little inside baseball, I was trying to find some positives here when it came to Derick Hall's campaign last year, and the best we could come up with was he ranked 13th on the Seahawks in tackles for loss last season. That's all that we could come up with. It wasn't that great of a year for Derick Hall, and even then, like, ranking 13th, he only had 3 tackles for loss. Derick Hall has got to figure this out. And I know we've kind of dogged on him a little bit in this segment, but we're just giving tough love here, if we're going to be frank with you on this. I think he's got potential. I like the power rusher. He's a nice compliment to Boye, does something different than Boye, but let's just see more out of Derick Hall this upcoming season. A guy that has looked good in minicamp, that is Jon Rhattigan at the linebacker position. And it's interesting. When you look at this linebacker spot for the Seahawks, this offseason, with what they did, with the changes they made, moving on from Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks, they bring in Terrell Dodson and Jerome Baker. There was still a glaring hole. There wasn't a ton of depth at this position. And then we get the news that Jerome Baker was not going to be available for the Seahawks for most of the offseason. He's expected to be back from training camp, recovering from a wrist injury that he suffered last year in Miami as he failed that physical before he departed from there. And then you had the situation with Terrell Dodson where he got banged up and missed minicamp. Rhattigan, a roster bubble guy, a guy that we've talked about that's a cut candidate for this Seahawks team, has an opportunity here. And what we saw in minicamp was he took advantage of said opportunity. He shined, and he had the head coach talking about him saying some nice things, which is always good. And here's what McDonald had to say in particular about Jon Rhattigan. John's improved every day. That's probably the highest compliment I can give him. That's what we want from the rest of our team. Guys going out and taking the coaching, taking the field, taking the next step, and then keep rolling. And when you look at Jon Rhattigan, this is a guy that's mostly been used on special teams so far in his NFL career. And what we've been told is that the Seahawks in this next era of Seahawks football are not looking for special teams specialists, right? They're not looking for guys that are just only going to get tackles on special teams. They're not even looking for guys to be just full-time kick and punt returners and do nothing else. You're going to have to contribute in other ways. And credit where credit's due to Jon Rhattigan, fighting for a roster spot, that he showed off those capabilities, that he reminded people, oh, wait, yeah, I am a linebacker. I'm not just a special teams guy. Last season, played in all 17 games, 17 total tackles. Good stuff from Jon Rhattigan. We'll see if he can keep it up. Who is a breakout candidate for the Seahawks heading into 2024? We've named a few so far. We got a couple more to talk about. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know who you think a breakout candidate for Seattle is. Next up, we go to the offensive line, and we turn our attention to none other than Anthony Bradford. Anthony Bradford was injured and missed OTAs. Then he came back for minicamp. And not only did he return from injury, but he made the most of his opportunity to compete for that starting right guard spot. I know he started, more games than he sat on that offensive line last year, the majority of the season, but his job is the one of the entire starting 5 that's up for grabs the most. When you bring in Christian Haynes, who they did with the 3rd-round pick, and when Bradford didn't play that great last year, this is an open competition. And for Bradford coming back from injury and everything, he passed the smell test. He did what he needed to do this past week at minicamp. The audition, the battle for this position is going to continue to carry on, but Anthony Bradford had a good week. And McDonald said the following: he's right there. He's right there. Just good to see him out there. Missed a little bit of time there throughout some of the OTAs. He's right in the mix. Got a great competition, especially on the right side of the line, and he's right there. He's got a great opportunity to go earn himself a job. Anthony Bradford, we mentioned, played in 14 games with 10 starts in 2023. And the most impressive thing that you can say about Anthony Bradford was the sack numbers. He allowed just 1 sack as a rookie last year. His grade from PFF wasn't that great, 51.7. Did allow 5 hits. The main thing is the hurries. He did allow some pressure to happen on Geno Smith, 22 hurries to be exact. Did get called for 4 penalties, but the most important thing, only allowed 1 sack last season. Seahawks Today continues to bring you the best Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else. Live shows twice a week, daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 videos or more a day. We're also bringing you interactive mailbags, our live shows. It's all in one place. If you love the Seattle Seahawks, this is the channel for you. Help us reach our next milestone of 53,000 subscribers. We're just over 500 away from reaching that next mark. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. We're going to stay on the offensive line now, and we'll talk Olu Oluwatimi with this position. And it's interesting when you look at Olu here, as this was I would say, a big vote of confidence that he got this offseason. When they didn't re-sign Evan Brown, let him go on and depart, who was the starter at that position. And then they didn't bring anyone else really to compete with Olu for that spot. Nick Harris is not expected to take that job away from Olu Oluwatimi. And now he's got to deliver. It's his time to shine, if you will, with all of the optimism, with everything that's been put in his direction. Now it's his time to capitalize, essentially, on this chance. And Ray Roberts, a former Seahawk, he spoke with Seattle Sports and what he's seen out of Olu at minicamp, and he said the following: I was at practice yesterday and just watched him a lot, and it seems like his body has changed a little bit. And then I think offensive line coach Scott Huff has him really being a little bit more explosive out of his stance, especially in the run game. So very good things there on Olu Oluwatimi. Watimi, a 5th-round pick out of Michigan, previously played for Virginia and in Air Force. And we did see him a decent amount last year. 16 games played with 1 start in 2023, and did not allow a single sack last season as well. His grades, overall grade wasn't great, 53.1. His pass block grade, a 75.1. So very solid to see that he ended up with a very good outing when it comes to run blocking, when pass blocking is his strength. Only got called for 1 penalty as well, so a lot of excitement about Olu Oluwatimi there. We've talked a lot about the O-line today. What's your confidence level in the Seahawks offensive line? Scale it for me in the comments section 1 through 10. I'm feeling about a 6.5 or a 7. I think we'll see improvement, but job's not finished. There's certainly work to do. Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's show, share the video. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. I'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.